Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is a Dreams gadget tutorial. We're doing gameplay gear and I've got to the blank puppets. Last week we had a look at the microchips. Today we're going to have a look at the tweak menu. Now, when I put that puppet down there, it's fine and great. If I turned on play mode and then tried to stamp a blank puppet, you'll notice it does this. So his legs are all over the place because he's falling. So remember, when you're going to be placing puppets down into your world, do not have play mode on. Turn play mode off. That allows you to place your puppet where you need it to be without its arms and legs flailing around all over the place. Anyway, here's our puppet. I'm just going to have him slightly over the ground so we can see his base nice and easily. So here is my puppet. If I wanted to open up the tweak menu, then I can hover anywhere on the puppet. If you cannot see the purple base, hover over the puppet, press L1 and square, and you get the tweak menu. If you've scoped into your puppet and you can see the purple base, by hovering over the puppet and pressing L1 and square, you get a sculpture menu. Now this is the menu for whichever bit you were hovering over, in this case the chest area. So that's not the menu you want. So if you've got the purple base visible, then you need to hover over the purple base and press L1 square to get the tweak menu. So if you're having difficulty getting the tweak menu up, that's probably why you need to be hovering over that purple base. So now we've got our tweak menu open. We can see it's quite complex. There's a lot of sliders and buttons and a lot of tabs. Lots of information in here. This changes the animations of your puppet, the speed, the way it interacts with the environment, and then all sorts of things. And it can change the way the puppet looks quite considerably. The different poses that you can put, the default poses that you can change, the procedural animations that you can change, the way the puppet walks, moves, can affect the character of your puppet. And certain puppet styles look better when they've got a different walk animation to, say, a small puppet has a different walk animation to a large puppet. So let's have a look and see what the changes are. Now, first of all, there's a thing down the bottom here called Quick Edit. I'm going to click on Walk, which is the middle one. We're going to go through these at the end, but at the moment I'm just going to click on Walk. It doesn't do anything at the moment, but then when I press R3, he'll start to move on the spot, so you can see the changes that you're making to the puppet. Right, the first slider, it says movement, and this is the walk speed. So let's reduce his walk speed down. And now he's walking a lot slower. So you can change the speed of the walk. This doesn't affect the run. So if we went into play mode now, he's walking at the speed that I've chosen, but if I was to push forward, you still run at the same speed as the run, because the run is the next one down. Let's put him back where he was. So here's the run speed here. Now if you don't want him to be able to run at all, put that to 0. So now we go into, so you see before it wasn't showing you that walk that we wanted because I was pushing forward with my stick and it was going into run mode. So if you want the puppet to run at a consistent walk at a consistent pace like this, turn your run down to 0 or change your run speed to match your walk speed. There's 2 options there that you can use. So obviously you can change these up and down as you like. Now the problem with this puppet is the default setting is not maintained within the tweak menu. So when I put this puppet first down, so let's put a new one down. I hadn't compared the two. It was set at 2 meters a second and the run speed was set at 6. Now normally on a menu, if you press triangle, it will go back to the defaults. But in this case, the defaults do not match the settings of the default puppet. So we've got 2.5 meters walk speed and 0 for the run speed. So if you want to go back to these numbers, you're going to have to manually put them in. Like so. There we go. So we'll go back to the default there. Right. So there's the two. That's walk and run, and you can affect these. Now, as you can see, there are input sockets in here, so you can change these during the game. You can wire changes to the speed of movement and running, etc. So this is how you would set up things like special abilities, so that if they're carrying the running cloak, they're wearing the running cloak, then you can wire an option to change the run speed to be faster while they're wearing the running cloak and that sort of thing. So that's why we've got input sockets, and we've got output sockets, so that you can actually post the speed or alter the speed with calculators, etc., and then feed it back in. So whatever speed this is here, you could calculate it to be a bit less and then wire it up and that sort of thing. So there are lots of ways you can use these numbers. Right, then the third one down is turn speed. So let's turn on our walk again and turn on play and look at turn speed. This is how fast he turns. So when I turn my puppet like this, that's how fast he'll turn. And we can alter that, so we can make it faster or slower. Make it super fast. Now you can turn a lot faster. Actually, it's not a bad idea to up the turn speed on your puppets to really fast. It makes for much better action for combat and things like that. So you might want to change that. The default speed is pretty much, on this occasion, it's nearly the same. It's 114.6 instead of 114.5, but you know, it's pretty much the same. So if you want to press triangle on that one's okay. All right, the next one down, 2D movement. Let's just hover over here and see what it says. When on, the puppet is constrained to only move in the X and Y axes, i.e. left, right, up and down. So let's see what that has done to my puppet. Now you can see we have now got a 2D puppet. I can't walk backwards and forwards into the scene. I can only move left and right in my scene. So we have a 3D puppet, but he's moving in a 2D space. So if you want to make this is an addition to our puppet. This never used to do this. This is a change that they've made since early access, and it's fantastic. So making 2D platformers could never be easier. You just literally just stick that setting on, and away you go. This next one, only active when that 2D movement is on, is face camera when idle. So let's have a look at that. So he's idle right now, so he's looking at me. So he'll walk backwards and forwards, and then he'll turn and face the camera when you let go. So it's an interesting setting. And then we have face camera direction. Let's hover over that, see what it says for that one. When on, the puppet will turn to face the direction the camera is pointing, useful for third person and first person gameplay. So let's have a look. So he's turning and facing away from my camera, and I cannot get him to turn around. He can't run towards me. So he does strafing backwards and forwards like this, sort of side steps. He's always going to be facing that way. So we're creating a third person character. You don't want him to be able to turn around, because if without that on, I can turn around and I can walk towards the camera. I've got a lot more control over where I go, and I can walk towards myself, walk towards the camera, and you can see his face. If you don't want ever see your puppet's face, just click on that. Acceleration and deceleration. Let's turn the acceleration right down and the deceleration right down. It now takes him a little longer to get into his run. Now, personally, I think this is better. Whoa, he's going to fall off. Personally, I think this is better than what we've currently got. It's a little bit more natural. I think I'll turn the deceleration up a bit, though. So it takes him a while to get into his run. But he stops pretty quickly. So that's a good setting to change to make it a little bit more realistic, and you got to get a bit less wobbliness with the character movement with that one. There is a problem with the leaning and the wobbliness. So changing some of these settings, you can alter the way a puppet moves quite considerably. Jump height. This is how high the puppet will jump. So let's turn it on, hover over it, and you can see that's how high you can jump. And I can move this. So if you're making a Destiny style game where they can jump really high, there we go. This is how you can change it. And like the others, you've got an input socket here, so you can change it on the fly. You can change it when they press a special button. You can change it with special abilities and that sort of thing. The default jump height is actually 2 meters, while the puppet's stamp height is 1. So you might want to change that. Minimum jump height. This is the smallest amount he'll jump. It's a percentage of the jump height of this. So it's 25%. I'm not quite sure at what point you get a minimum jump. I guess if there's something above his head. I'm not quite sure how that actually activates, but anyway, there you go. You can set your minimum height. Then we have our double jump height. Now at the moment there is no double jump height, so let's go into our puppet. There's my normal jump, there's my double jump. So if you set it to 0, he won't double jump at all. So there we go. There's our double jump. And that's the double jump height. The default of that is no double jump at all. Then we have gravity. Now, this causes a few confusions, I think. Gravity. This is how the when the puppet is jumping or falling, it's how much gravity affects it. Now, the default is 150%, which they've decided is Earth normal. So if there is less gravity, so let's put it at 45%. Let's jump him. You see, he's jumping and he's taking a lot longer to come back down. Let's send it back really low. There we go. Now we're walking on the moon. It slows him right down. Alternatively, if you do a lot more gravity. He's going to have a lot more difficulty in jumping. 400% is the most. It doesn't have as much a dramatic effect with the puppet. It's more obvious on objects that are falling than it is with the puppet. But let's he jumps quicker is the only way of describing it, because he's trying to get down to the ground as quickly as possible because there's lots of gravity. It's unlikely, to be honest, that you're going to be fiddling about with this unless you're creating some sort of moon game or something like that. Air control. Let's hover over that, see what they say it is. It says how much air control you want the puppet to have, how well the puppet responds to being controlled while in the air. Right, so at the moment we've got 75% air control. Let's put it up to 100%. I'm not sure how much control at 100% I've got. Okay, let's try it at 0%. I can't move him at all when he's jumping. It's so subtle. I'm not 100% sure what that's doing. I think it's probably going to be more evident if you're making a flying character or something like that, but I've yet to experiment with that, so I will leave that one. Walkable slope angle. I did an entire tutorial on this. This is the angle at which the puppet will comfortably walk up a slope. So if I create a slope like so, my puppet doesn't want to walk up that. It's too steep. So we'll change the angle. And now he'll walk up the slope. There we go. So that's it's very handy if you've got a world with lots of rock climbing and things. You want the puppet to be able to climb up things like this. You might want to change the slope angle. Like I said, there's a whole tutorial on this. Where I experimented with the different angles and showed you what the maximum was, etc. Let's put that back to normal. Sliding friction. Let's just get rid of the slope. Sliding friction. This is how I've got rid of the slope. I shouldn't have got rid of the slope. How he copes on a slope. So let's put the sliding friction up. And you can see let's move that back up there so he can walk up the slope. Let's see what happens. So he can walk up the slope. No problem. I'm not quite sure. This is about how well it slides down the slope, and I haven't managed to work out how to get it to slide down the slope. So, yeah, you'll have to experiment around that one. Sliding friction. How well it will slide, I guess. It says if the puppet is on ground angled below the walkable slope, this will do nothing. Maybe we're talking about not an upward slope, a downward slope. I don't really know. Hang on. This is on the fly experimentation because I haven't really experimented with this at all. So no less friction. Will he slide? Let's say no friction at all. What happens? Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works at all. So I will leave that one as well. Right, okay, so we're into the bottom ones of quick edit. I don't want him up there. Let's put him here. Right. So our first quick edit option is idle. This is our idle pose, and as you can see, as you click on it, you get a record button. So this is a frame that we're going to get to change. So if I could put Puppet Mirror on, so it's going to do both sides, and I'll just do a really simple pose. There we go. So that's the idle pose. So if I go into play mode, right, he's in idle pose straight away because I'm not moving. And I can go into normal walk and he'll just walk around as normal. And as soon as I stop, he goes back into his idle pose. So that's what that is. Let's just get rid of that. There we go. Let's put him back over here. Now we saw walk does walk shows you the walk. Run is a pose situation. It will run if you turn it on, but with the pause on, you can see there's a record button here, and we can change the pose of our running man. At the moment, his arms come up. You don't have to have his arms coming up. And he also leads forward. You don't have to do that. So you could have a different pose for running. Then you've got jump, ascent. So this is the pose that he takes when he starts to jump. Jump apex. And jump descent. Now, these puppets actually have, inside their logic, the actual keyframes here. So let's put it into walk. Let's just jump ascent, looks like that. Jump peak looks like that. Jump descent looks like that, and that's the same as this, and that, and that. So you can change them in here, or you can change them here with this record button, and change the poses. That changes the way they look when they're jumping. So let's just exit that. Right, so that was the first page. I think that's enough for one tutorial. So we're going to leave it there. So next time we're going to have a look at the lower body and the upper body movement changes, and see how you can change the animation of the movement of your character to make him look completely different to anybody else. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in your dreams.